The White House knew Trump had likely been exposed to the virus. He traveled and held events anyway.
You know, businesses got shut down for allowing consumers to do this as it endangered public safety. People get removed and banned from airplanes. Workers get turned away from work and patients get turned away from service, or at a very minimum have service interrupted while they get placed into a COVID desalinated place. Yet another unsurprising hypocritical move from pieces of human garbage. I literally send people home who can't wear their mask correctly. Either that, or everyone goes home. So, yeah, Trump should have just been sent off stage. By send people home, do you really mean obliterate with anti-aircraft gun? If so, username checks out. I think he meant sent home, and your sister is assumed to have taken control of the family cult of personality. At least until your overweight arse makes another public appearance. Even North Korea is better at handling the virus. When they spot a virus, they shoot to kill it. Very effective. Kills it every time. My job has been relaxed on the rules a little bit for the past month or two, but someone came in with COVID on Wednesday, and now you gotta answer question before they let you in, and if you have your mask on wrong, they send you home on the spot. None of the rules or ethics ever apply to him. That debacle of a debate should have seen him muted or disqualified for all those interruptions. Mask. You mean chin diaper? You expect us to wear a diaper over our nose? That's disgusting. F you, Fossey. Can you be my boss, please? No one at my work seems to understand the importance of this. I even showed them a video of the differences in airflow while wearing a mask correctly and incorrectly, and they still don't care. Do people understand how ridiculous and risky it is to continually have to ask the person who has the power to fire you for any reason to do something they don't want to do just so you yourself don't get the virus? So take him for setting a good example. Seriously. I've been working at a shelter for homeless folks who test positive, and I've, understandably, been asked to join my family's holiday and birthday celebrations via Zoom rather than driving down the street and just keeping distance. And this guy hangs out with someone clearly symptomatic, then goes straight to an anti-masker orgy. Laws don't apply if you got enough money to simply buy the individuals who enforce the rules. Laws are for the ruling class to enforce, not live by. I prefer sh stains. You have to remember none of that is on behalf of his government, but smaller state or local orders from competent beings, or even individually mandated by companies, so it shouldn't surprise us that their protocol around this was effing atrocious and should be considering criminal endangerment of others. That's what I was gonna say. Bad leadership for sure, but not necessarily hypocritical. We banned travel from China. The bullsh Trump and his administration have been pulling since February is all based in the same egotistical, selfish logic. They're the reason why the vast majority of over 200,000 American citizens are dead. We cannot forget that. Remember back in 2016 when the world collectively knew that Trump's presidency was going to be an absolute show of the most epic proportions. Pepperidge Farm members. Wow, it's as if he doesn't care about his supporters. Shocking. I was fired because I was asymptomatic and only found out I had it because of a company test. Was told I put others at risk when I had no idea I had it in the first place. Oh my, I'm sorry this happened to you. May want to consider contesting the termination. It's illegal to fire someone due to illness. And just a few weeks ago they were screaming B/C Pelosi got a haircut in an otherwise empty salon. Hypocrite feels too mild a term. Yep, you can have sympathy for him, but it doesn't change the fact that his administration has been a disaster. We need to keep organizing and vote him out. I think he is faking it, to get sympathy votes, dodge the debate and then come out a few days before election to say, look, I survived it, it's nearly not as bad as left is making it sound. Or he will use this as an excuse and bail like a coward that he is, and Pence will pardon him. So you think he was exposed to the super contagious virus and somehow didn't get it but is still going to quarantine 4 weeks until the election? There's never been a world leader ever who is politically stronger when they're less healthy. When more of the story comes out, I guarantee that he will have tried to keep it quiet, but everyone else said to release it. Keeping that hidden until after the election, and election it looks like they'll lose, would be the final, ultimate betrayal of the country that the rats couldn't stay on board for. Maybe he wants to get out as all his crimes are exposed, and what better excuse than this? I am not saying that it's not possible, maybe he is infected, but I don't trust anything coming out of this White House. What do you mean get out of his crimes, and what do you mean what a better excuse than this? Prosecutors don't care that he might get sick for a few weeks at some point. The actual only way that doesn't happen is if he wins the election and the statute of limitations runs out on whatever he might be charged with. Being sick, or people thinking he's sick, is the worst thing that could happen to him at this point. He looks weak and dumb, and if he's in the hospital on election day, he might not win a state. Desalinated. Designated, probably. Knowingly infecting someone with HIV/AIDS is a crime in many places. Well, this POS president has constantly downplayed this COVID-19 virus pandemic and the unbelievable impact on the United States because simply all he cares about is getting re-elected this November. Time after time it has just been made apparent that rules don't apply to Trump. I hope he gets how serious this is now. Yeah, but he didn't do it though. It's not hypocritical. It's entirely consistent with what his desired policy has been of business as usual while ignoring the human cost. Remember when he was talking about how he wanted to open back up for Easter because it would be beautiful to see churches packed full of people? Just 2 months after the Woodward tapes talking about how deadly and contagious this thing is. Wait, COVID spreads through salt. But that's in, like, everything. The oceans. They want to kill us. Did you mean designated? P. Hypocritical. He doesn't want those things to happen. There are separate rules for the elite. OSHA should fine the White House. Trump is a narcissist s.o.b. I'd love nothing better than for him to be sick as possible without passing away. I'd never wish death on anyone. He's a disgusting little man with the worst comb-over I've ever seen. He thinks so highly of himself. I'm surprised he has children, as they need so much love and attention, which he seems capable of only adoring and loving himself. I'll be glad when he's out of office, out of politics, so the news media can start giving us real around the world news and stop revolving around Trump. I've been looking through r/conservative, and they really don't understand the irony, or that he shouldn't suddenly get sympathy for suffering exactly what he fostered upon multitudes of others from his inaction hidden in his ivory tower. Watch how he gets no backlash for this after surviving the virus to say it wasn't a big deal. Trump has blatantly disregarded safety protocols and has severely compromised the US government in the process. This is willful negligence. Can we kick this FER out of office yet? I fear the lack or consequences is setting a dangerous precedent for the future. There are now 2 fences surrounding the White House. We could maybe just lock him in. The problem is that the right wing agrees with everything you just wrote. To them, everything you listed, banning from airplanes, being turned away from work, closing for sanitation, that is the disgusting injustice and an overreaction. That is the work of the overreacting left. They accuse us of causing injustice on ourselves through strict rules we created, then when they don't take precautions, coming to them crying, "Look at how we have suffered for doing the same thing you just did so casually." They reply, "Yeah, but that's not our fault, you did that to yourselves." They literally think none of these precautions are necessary. Come join us, stop putting yourself through needless precautions, come to work sick, fly on a plane, don't wear a mask, quit putting shackles on yourself and be free. This hopefully will all change when Trump dies of COVID, and I usually don't wish death on anyone, but he's had ample chance to change course, and refused, and at this point his actions are actively causing death. His death would save a lot of lives. It's like the trolley problem, but the 5 people are my grandma, and the 1 guy is a total D. Stop letting the world control you. Try not wearing a mask into stores and restaurants. Having to wear a mask into a restaurant only to take it off as the waitress is within 6 feet of you is like having a passing section in a pool. The restaurant workers should all be dead by now if it was that deadly. And Joe wants to keep the shutdowns happening. How is that hypocritical? Private businesses and local governments implemented those policies. The F does that have to do with the federal government? I agree. They acted perfectly in accordance with their own advice. The issue has more to do with being a moral human being, putting the safety and welfare of others ahead of one's own personal convenience. That SH belongs in a church and has no place in our government. You're saying not putting the safety and welfare of others ahead of your personal convenience makes you immoral? No, I had no idea. U/LV469. What point are you arguing here? It is more convenient for me to drive home drunk, but to do so I put others at risk. Is it immoral for me to put others at risk for my convenience? Yes, in my opinion. I'm not making a point, I'm asking them to clarify theirs. No one said anything about risk. The statement was about morality in the context of convenience vs the welfare of others. Why do you want clarification from them? What point are you trying to make here with regards to their clarification? The safety and welfare of others ahead of your personal convenience. Definition of the word safety: the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. It seems appropriate that the word risk came up. By that logic, I should prioritize the welfare of starving children in Africa over any non-need purchase. I love the left's narratives about this right now. You guys are all over the place. Some are wishing death and happy he has it. Some are saying he knew he had it and was trying to spread it to Biden. So many conspiracies going on. The dude has COVID, so be it. It's actually a good news story for him. BC it has the left running around trying to make up situations like you guys have. Trump has wanted to open the economy up since it first closed down. He's the one that closed it. Now he has the oh so scary flu that you all are peeing your pants about, and you're calling him a human piece of garbage. so the tough guy on the internet talking sh about a person with the scary virus is somehow pious, but the victim of the virus is garbage. We have a word for you where I'm from. 2 words actually. Hypocrite and evil. He is a human piece of garbage. I don't see how anyone could argue against it. He was before he had the virus, and after, the virus didn't change that. This was handled on a state level, aka the Democrats were the ones doing these insane lockdown for extended periods of times, and Biden says if he wins he'll let them do it again because they're being ruled unconstitutional, and people are being allowed to reopen even though the Democrats don't want it. If Trump would have told people to just wear a mask and social distance in the first place, we would have been over this like every other developed nation. Trump's negligence to ignore healthcare professionals, much more educated on the matter than he is, and tell everyone to not wear a mask is the reason we have to continue locking down businesses, etc. in the first place. This virus is never going to go away until all Americans are able to comply with simple safety precautions to contain the spread. He did have guidelines. Democrats ignored them and called Trump a racist, claiming anyone freaking out about the virus hates Chinese people. As late as March, Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats all did this. Sources please LOL. There were absolutely no guidelines for the mandatory use of masks, social distancing, or the limitation of public gatherings, which are the 3 best things, scientifically proven, to halt the spread of a virus such as COVID. Furthermore, the president instead chose to continue having outdoor rallies and told his supporters to not wear masks at them, which negatively increased the spread as well. Hell, look at the debate Tuesday. Did you happen to notice how no one on his side of the aisle was wearing a mask? That is why the president has now been diagnosed LOL. And just to be clear, you understand she is talking about Chinatown and not actually traveling to China, correct? Also, this was back in February while COVID was not even quite an epidemic yet, let alone a pandemic. Information changes is the point. Fast forward to April when we knew this was a virus on the pandemic scale and the clear-cut recommendations from all of the credible international health organizations recommended mandatory masking, social distancing, etc. Yet we were the only developed nation to not follow those guidelines. Furthermore, when you label an entire nationality of people just because the virus originated in their region for the cause of all this, that is racist. By that logic, the swine flu was the American virus. Thankfully, our leadership at that point in time had the good sense to listen to the infectious disease experts to limit the amount of deaths. All diseases named after people who either discovered them or were first exposed, yes. By your logic, I agree it may be appropriate to name this virus after the first person who contracted COVID if we were able to identify that person. That being said, labeling an entire nation for the cause of this is not accurate, and more so it's clear as day racist. That is not what Biden said. He said he would follow the advice of medical experts, not quacks like Atlas. If the situation deteriorates and the medical experts agree that the best path forward is shutting down the economy again, then he would make the tough decision to do it. Trump, on the other hand, seems to have declared the pandemic over, poetic justice that he now has COVID, and would never consider shutting down again. Yes, nothing is Trump's fault at all. Such a puppet of the right. The right has nothing to do with righteous. If everyone had agreed to follow the advice of experts, we'd have largely contained the virus and wouldn't be leading the world in deaths. The situation can't be analyzed as a matter solely about personal freedom when innocent people, frontline folks, medical professionals etc. are dragged into it. Dude, chill TF out. It literally doesn't give any credible sources. It's all speculation.